this Christian and had them killed. And on his way, one day, he was going to get some Christians killed, and Jesus came to him from the sky and blinded him. And it says it right here. So, Saul says, as he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Who are you, Lord? Saul asked. I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. He replied, now get up and go to the city, and you will be told what you must do. So Saul was now blind. He's this Christian hater, and he was just blinded, and his friends actually have to help him all the way to Damascus. And then from here, he couldn't see for 3 days, and he also couldn't eat for 3 days. So he was fasting for 3 days. So along this, the Lord called a man named Ananias. And he calls Ananias, and Ananias says, yes, Lord. And the Lord told him, go to the house of Judas on the straight street and ask a man from Tarsus named Saul. For he is praying in a vision. He has seen a man named Ananias come and place his hands on him to restore his sight. Lord, Ananias answered, I have heard many reports about this man and all of the harm he has done to your people in Jerusalem. And he has come here with authority from the chief priests to arrest all who call on his name. But the Lord said, go, this man is my instrument to proclaim my name to the Gentiles and their kings, and to the people of Israel. I will show him how he must suffer for my name. So, pretty much, Jesus just blinded Saul, who was a Christian hater, and had Ananias come out to speak to Saul, to restore his sight. So, after Ananias came to restore Saul's sight, Saul became a great man to proclaim Jesus' name. He actually went out and started preaching all around, even though he was once a Christian hater. So after suffering blindness, he became radical for God. A lot of us have probably been like, I haven't really been radical, but I realized that actually I was once blind, just like Saul was. I wasn't a Christian hater, but I was blind in any way. But by my 7th grade year, I was restored, and I had sight again. So some ways that I became radical was, in 8th grade, I had a friend who wasn't a Christian, but I led her to Christ in some way. And it might have been a small way, but I think it helped out a lot. And Eddie was telling me a story about when he was in Guatemala, and he was kind of staying in the back. He didn't really want to do anything that had to do with God. And they were doing worship, and somebody called Eddie up. He was like holding back the bags, and they had him up, and he was slain in the Spirit. And from then he was radical for God. So even if you're a Christian hater or you just don't want to be associated with Christ, you can still stand up for God. God pretty much wants us to take off our spiritual eye patches, or our unspiritual eye patches. He wants us to throw them away. I was listening to a song, actually it's quite ironic, called Eyes Open by Tripoli, and one of the lines he says was, I was blinded in the past like my mind was in the trash. So I thought maybe if we took off our blindness and threw them away, that it would make us a lot better. Saul also spoke boldly about God. In Acts 9:28, it says, Saul stayed with them and moved about freely in Jerusalem, speaking boldly the name of the Lord. He talked and debated with them, with the Hellenistic Jews, but they tried to kill him. When the believers learned of this, they took him down to Crasa and sent him off to Tarsus. So pretty much Saul was being persecuted, like, hey, this guy was just a Christian hater, how can he, God then, So they were planning to kill him. But God tells us that God tells us in Matt 10:19, do not be afraid of, actually I have it over here. Psycho. When you are arrested, do not worry about what to say in your defense, because you will be given the words at the right time. So God is telling us that even if we don't know what to say, how to speak about God, that we can still do it through Him. Like right now, I am scared out of my mind preaching in front of you, just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, Yhanni.
So I am trusting in God to produce the words that from His heart for me to let you guys know. So Saul stayed in hiding for a few days, and let me backtrack. So Saul stayed in hiding in Jerusalem for a few days before, to let the other people, I don't want to say this, to let the other people who were trying to kill him, let's find the word. Let's play a word search game.
Calm down?
Yes, calm down. Thank you, Jade. You are a lifesaver. And from there on, he spoke freely about God. So even if you're afraid, like I am right now, you can still speak freely about God and proclaim His radical name. And that's it. It's your
turn. Yeah, Yhanni.